and welcome to the Sheep and Cheerful podcast, episode 37. My name is Nikki and I am the host and CEO of all things Sheep and Cheerful, and I'm coming to you from the south coast of the United Kingdom on a very wet and bleak day, but it is autumn and it's possibly my favourite season. I like the changing seasons. That could link to some journaling I'm doing, but we'll get to that. I love autumn, and I think as knitters and makers, many of us love autumn, and of course it's sweater weather. So, we're getting busy with our needles. Oh my goodness, how do I manage to drift off already into all that kind of waffle? Anyway, yes, so I'm south coast of the UK. I am actually recording in our kitchen today because the light is better in here than in my little craft room, which I would have to have the overhead lighting on. So I thought I'd give it a chance. So I have shut the dogs out. So those of you who know, who've been here before, thank you for coming back, by the way. We have two English Springer Spaniels, Honey and Henry, who usually can be heard plopping around on our hardwood floor. But they were in the other room, so I've shut the kitchen door. I've instructed Hannah to, stay out for the time being. So hopefully we may get through this without any interruptions. So yes, I'm in the kitchen. I don't know if you can hear the rain, but it is raining. But as we said before, it's sweater weather and it's wonderful. So I'm going to stop waffling. I am going to get on with some knitting stuff because I've been away for quite a few more weeks than I had intended. Those of you who know me or who follow me on Instagram, I should have said as well, I am Clara Peggotty on Instagram if you would like to follow me or hop over and say hello. Will know that I have been poorly. So I was away for a week, which would have been, I was going to try and podcast every 2 weeks, and I went away to the New Forest for a week, or for 5 days, which was lovely, and had a real knitting marathon away there. Went away with my daughter Hannah, and she was having a reading marathon, and I was having a knitting marathon. And then I came back and promptly ended up with shingles, which was a bit pigging, I'll not lie. It wasn't as bad as I think many people can get it. For once, the doctor told me that being fairly young, it makes such a change from having that phrase at your age. So yeah, being fairly young, I should have escaped any really nastiness from it, and thanks be to God, I did. It was pretty unpleasant. I was pretty wiped out for a while. I've still got a few spots, which you really don't need to know about, do you? But I tell you what, they were right on my bra line. Oh my goodness, talk about irritating. Anyway, enough of that. And really, the last few days have been the first few days when I have felt well enough, or more like myself, to be able to sit in front of a camera and chat to everybody. So thank you for hanging in there. If you've come back, if you're new, I hope that you enjoy seeing what I've been making, and it would be lovely if you could subscribe. I would really like to grow this channel and share lots more with you, but obviously I need to get my act together to do it a bit more regularly, or at least consistently, but then life interferes, doesn't it? What can you do? Anyway, enough of all that. So first of all, you will notice, or you should notice, being knitters, I'm imagining you're knitters. If you're actually a guitarist, you're possibly watching the wrong podcast. But I'm wearing my first finished sweater. So I finished 2 sweaters in September, and I have got 2 more nearly finished. I'm on a sweater kick, I can tell you. But let's look at the Stonecrop first of all, shall we? So I shall stand up without making too much noise. There you go. There. If I put my hands on my hips, it makes me look thin. Anyway, yes, so the Stonecrop sweater, I'll turn around. love this. I had a few moments with this when I wasn't sure about various things about the fit, but actually I've been wearing this quite a lot since I finished it a week or two ago. So there you go, hopefully the light is good there. So the pale blue, this is a fingering weight sweater, I should say, by Andrea Mowry. The pale blue yarn I've used is from Kettle Yarn Company, Linda over in Hastings, which is quite close to me, and that's her BFL base in the seafoam colourway, fingering weight. And then the coloured, the contrast is Spincycle yarns in the Neveruary, whatever, colourway. And you can see this is obviously all the same. The colourway changes. If I'm sure you're familiar with Spincycle yarns, it has that kind of hand spun look. I believe it's dyed in the wool as opposed to dyed after it's been spun, and it's got this graduating colour change all the way through. So I didn't actually, no, I hope you don't mind me being headless here. I didn't worry about trying to make the sleeve colours the same. You can see, because I think the whole thing is fine, because I also didn't match the sleeve colours with that. It would have meant going through, let me sit down then. It would have meant going through, pulling out loads of the cake and then probably wasting a whole load. So I thought, no, I'm going to knit it as it comes, and it's worked beautifully. I didn't alternate skeins. I didn't alternate skeins with Linda's yarn, because I felt that there's so much interruption and colour changing anyway that it was unnecessary to alternate skeins. So yeah, and the it's dyed in the wool, isn't it, or is it Dream State? I can never remember the thinner version of Spincycle. I think, and I haven't got my notes with me, I think it's, I can't remember. Anyway, the Spincycle yarn. I've forgotten what I was going to say now. What was I talking about? Alternating skeins, the Spincycle. No, can't remember. Couldn't have been that interesting or important. Yeah. It's gone. Senior moment. So I am of that age, clearly. Yeah, I don't know. A friend had warned me as well, I should say, that she'd had this colourway from Spincycle, and it had actually bled quite a lot when she washed her sweater, when she blocked it, and it had seeped through into the other colours of the yarn. So I put a colour catcher in when I soaked this, but actually there was no colour run at all, so I think maybe she was just really unlucky with that. But that might be something to be aware of. But yeah, absolutely love it. I got my Spincycle from Fig Tree Yarns over on Jersey, on the Channel Islands. Yeah, Jersey being the town on the Channel Islands. I got caught out by that before because I said Jersey, and of course all your lovely American friends who are watching thought I meant Jersey as in New York Jersey, America Jersey. Anyway, so yeah, from Fig Tree Yarns, although they do sell it in, I think, Loop in London, and I believe a Yarn Story in Bath sell the Spincycle. I keep doing this, don't I? just demonstrate, but it's so lovely. Now, I had another senior moment with it, or an issue with it. I blocked it, soaked it beautifully. And before you throw your hands up in horror, I then put it in the spin dryer to spin, because when I weave my blankets or when I wash socks, whatever, I put them in a little laundry bag and put them in the spin dryer, or in my washing machine on the Spincycle. That's good, Spincycle. See what I did there? And I put it in, and it came out, and it had very, very nearly felted in some areas. And you can see actually where the bobbles are, it has very slightly felted, because obviously there was an excess of fibres there bobbling around, as bobbles do. But actually, it come up a little bit big on me and shapeless. And I was a little bit disappointed, I'll not lie, because I love this sweater. I was so excited about knitting it. And it come up a little bit big. I'd done a gauge swatch and everything, so don't all shout at me for not doing a gauge swatch. But I think my colour work does come up looser as I go along, because I think I overcompensate for the floats, making sure that it's not going to go tighter. So as I went through it, and everything was just a smidgen oversized, but actually it fits me so nicely now. The sleeves are a good length. The bobbles have kind of just gripped in a little bit on themselves, because they were, again, I crochet quite, do I crochet loosely or tightly? I'm not sure. Yeah. But in any event, the bobbles were quite wibbly wobbly, and it's tightened up the bobbles beautifully. If I show you, I mean, if you like bobbles, then you might not like having your bobbles tightened. But can you see that? I can't tell if you can see them or not on that screen. But they're not, that one's a little bit sticking out. But anyway, enough of all that. I love it. I really, really like it. And I had a skein of yarn left over, of Linda's yarn, which is amazing. I don't know, because I obviously have to knit quite a big size, because I'm not a small lady, but I had a skein of yarn and half a skein of the Spincycle. I was worried I wasn't going to have enough Spincycle, because I only had 3 50-gram skeins. But actually, I've got about half a skein left of that as well. So anyway, Stonecrop sweater, Andrea Mowry, really, really enjoyable knit. Oh, I also did, and you won't be able to see, I don't think, because it's stretched out, I did a Channel Island cast on. Shall I come really close? I doubt you'll be able to see it. No, you can't. But basically, the Channel Island cast on is where you almost get little crenellations, I want to say, across the top of the cast on. So you have a little bump and a little bump and a little bump. And it's a little bit fiddly, but it's so pretty. That said, is it worth the effort? Possibly not on a sweater, because, you know, by the time this is stretched a bit, it's quite a wide neckline and you can't see it. But I was really pleased that I actually took the trouble to do it. It may be something, if I were doing mitts or gloves, possibly a hat, I might do it on that. But it's really great. I really enjoyed doing it. So, yeah, I think that's all I've got to tell you about this sweater. Okay, so before we move on to the next sweater, we can talk about a hat, which I finished when I was in the New Forest at the lodge. We go and stay in a lodge at a campsite. It was just Hannah and I this time. I don't know if you recall, Gary is still having to be super careful, or shielded, if you will, because it was recently identified that people with his particular disease and who are also on autoimmune therapy, which is him, are possibly the most at danger from complications from COVID. Really need to hear that, don't you? So he was back working from home. He's working from home. Ironically, he works from home Monday to Friday and then goes into the office at the weekends because nobody else is there. But we're hoping once the numbers start going down again that he will go back. Oh, I can hear the dogs wandering around. They've realised they've been shut out of the kitchen. Hopefully they won't start scratching on the doors. So anyway, so he didn't come away with us, but Hannah and I went away. We're very, we choose to wear masks whenever we're out, and we've bought some of the ones that are perhaps slightly more, what's the word? I don't want to say better. I'll talk about those at the end of the podcast if anybody's interested. So we went to Sandalwood. It was just the two of us staying in our own little lodge, and we spent most of our time just sitting on the porch, as they doing our thing. We ate in the restaurant a couple of times, but we always ate they have big sliding glass doors, and the weather was good, so we sat right by the windows. So we were very careful. It was really lovely actually. And then of course we did the old lateral flow test before coming back, and we were fine. And then I got shingles. Whatever. So yes, next project. So I don't watch the Grocery Girls a lot these days. I used to watch them all the time, but you know, things change and you get out of habits. So for some reason before we went away, I watched one of their latest shows, live streams, and they were talking about hats, and I hadn't knit a hat for a while, and it gave me the urge, and they were talking about a pattern by Tin Can Knits called the Sunshine Hat, again, of which I don't have the pattern details here to show you because this was some time ago, some weeks ago that I did this. Anyway, I decided there and then, I was casting on all the things at that point in time. I still am, and I thought, I love that hat. I want to knit something different. As you remember, I've been knitting Musselburgh hats, which is great, but I thought, oh, it'd be really nice to knit a straightforward beanie. So they talked about the yarn kit that Jodie had been using, coming from Rainbow Heirloom Yarns. So do you know what? I went straight onto the website, bought its DK minis. So she does kits, different sets of DK minis. So I just chose one of the sets. I chose a main colour, boom, and it came before I went away. And I knit it while I was away. And here it is. Ta-da! So happy with this hat. Look at that. And the pom-pom. We'll talk about the pom-pom in a minute. I've got the details of the pom-pom, but the hat. So I'll put the details in the show notes below, but we've got the main colour here, which actually is a merino silk, which I didn't realise at the time, but I bought that because that was the main colour from Rainbow Heirloom Yarns that I really loved. And then you've got all those contrasting minis in there. It is so pretty, and I will put it on. Oh, I've got a headband on, so it might look a bit ridiculous. It fits me like a dream. I have put photos on Instagram. There you go, hopefully you can see that. And it's just lovely. It's really, really comfortable. And I didn't knit a large size. I knit just the standard adult. I have quite a large head. Oh, let's see what's going on with the beers now. But this is lovely. I absolutely love this. I used, I don't know what I did. Looks like probably a German twisted cast on there. That's my favourite for hats and things. And yeah, should we do the inside, the colour work? There's my colour work. Oops. And then the pom-pom. I've not bought faux fur pom-poms before. I tended to favour the Toft pom-poms, the Alpaca ones. But I thought it was about time. Again, I think I was very influenced by this episode of The Grocery Girls I watched. Sadly, it was going to be a bit prohibitive to order pom-poms from their shop. But I found someone on Etsy called NatHelm Yarns. So there's so she was on Etsy. She does a huge range of colours. Oh, I bought some, hold horses, I'll just go and get the other colours I bought. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. Okay, I'm back, stop talking now. Oh, can't get past. So, I think I bought 3. Because I thought, you know, in for a penny. So I've got them in here. I've got my Toft green one. But, oh, I bought 4. No, this pink one was from Brooklyn General when I went to New York a couple of years ago. And it's a tie-on one, which I really like. And then from NatHelm Yarns, I bought that one. Oh, so gorgeous, which it could go on there, couldn't it? And then I bought a dusky pink one there. And these have got, now, I don't know, jury's out on these, but they've got little elasticated, can you see that? there, little elasticated loops. So I've sewn a button on the top of this, and then you just hook the elastic loop around the button. So I could actually, I suppose actually I could change it off, couldn't I? So that's the purple one. So if you then thought, I want a bit of a change, I'm going to have the blue one. Actually, that doesn't look too bad, does it? It's quite a big contrast, that one. I think all of these would go, to be honest. Let's put the pink one on. I'm worried they'll come off, but I haven't worn the hat out yet, so we'll see. I'm sure they don't, because people just wouldn't have them, would they? That's nice as well. That dusky pink is really pretty on there. So yeah, I'll put the purple one back on for now. Although, I don't know, I'll leave that one on. So yeah, it's so those 3 pom-poms, they're really reasonable price. Can't remember, but they were really reasonable. And they came very quickly. And again, it's NatHelm Yarns on Etsy. And that is the sunshine hat from Tin Can Knits. And I had quite a lot of yarn. I had a lot of the purple yarn left over, the main colour, and I've still got quite a lot of that. I did wonder about doing another one and just changing the colours, but we'll see how we go. Oops. So there. Look, that's stretched a bit. The outside is stretched a bit. Okay, good. So that's the hat. Okay. Just have a quick sip. So the next sweater I finished was the Andrea Mowry. I seem to be on an Andrea Mowry kick at the moment, as you'll see when I talk about my new cast-ons. The stripes sweater, which is, it's not brand new pattern, not that old. It's certainly newer than the Stonecrop. Similar construction, so you've got just a circular yoke. So with her, and this is the thing, and I'll talk about this with the stripes sweater, I'm not totally convinced it's the best style for me, because the way she does her increasing around the yoke, it's just a vroom, you know, so it starts, like, if you will, in a small circle, and then she increases outwards. There's no structure here. And when you have a larger bust, like what I do, sometimes having just that bulk of fabric suddenly increasing over the bust area can be a little bit unflattering. This, I think, is just about okay. And I think I can get away with stripes. I love it, so I don't care, quite frankly. But that is a definite a way that she consistently styles her yokes or creates her yokes. But here is my stripes sweater. Looking very drapey. I have worn it, so worn it once because I finished it last week. There you go. It's so pretty. Look at that yarn. Look at the yarn. It's so gorgeous. So this is knit in DK weight yarn, and I bought this yarn last Boxing Day from an update. It's Tanis Fibre Arts Purewash DK, and she had put together this set of 6 skeins of DK, just to, you know, for any sweater. It wasn't for the striped sweater. And I really like Tanis Fibre Arts colourways, but I saw this, and of course last year everything was about rainbow, wasn't it? And I thought I couldn't resist it. So it'd been okay, we'll ignore those, hopefully. I think that's just the postman. It had been sitting in my stash for a little while, waiting, and I thought, yeah. I'd been chatting with my friend Cherie, who's Ollie and Bella, the Ollie and Bella podcast, and she had a DK advent last year, and she was talking about knitting the striped sweater as well. So we'd been looking at it, and yeah, it was, I knit it, and it was such a quick knit, because there is nothing to it. You know, it is top down in the round, again standard increasing, then knit to the bottom, put on the sleeves, and it's just stripes. So it really did fly off the needles. I'm wondering whether to put it on to show you. Perhaps I will in a minute. But the issue I had, again, the blocking gods are not smiling on me at the moment. I blocked it. I did not put it in the spinner. Let's just get that out there. But it did stretch an awful lot when I blocked it, and I overblocked it, I guess. A combination of, it is a superwash, although it's organically treated, it's not nasty chemicals. There's a whole lot of details on the Tanis Fibre Arts website about their Purewash. Oh no, I thought I'd found an end, I hadn't sewn in. Purewash process that they use to superwash, as it were, their yarns. The sleeves were always a little bit long, and I ended up blocking them. It's not so bad, the sleeves actually, but I had a real problem with the neckline. The neckline really stretched. So I looked into it. It was, again, really disappointing, because that meant it sort of sagged over my bust area, and the arms, the split of the arms had dropped down a bit, and yeah, and I was really disappointed. I'd wear it, but I didn't feel good wearing it. So, funnily enough, I was watching a random podcast. No, it wasn't a random. It was Little Big Knits. I was watching Little Big Knits. And she was talking about, is it Selma? I want to say it's Selma. She'd made a ranunculus, and the neckline had turned out too big. And she was talking about stabilising it with a crochet, row of crochet stitches that she'd never done before, but she'd heard it could be done. So I then hit up Google, and I found a tutorial on how to stabilise a neckline using a crochet hook and obviously yarn. So I tried that, and it made all the difference in the world. It's amazing. Now, I'm mid-process here, but I'm going to share it with you. What I did, I ran a row of slip stitch crochets along the bottom of the rib on the back neck. Now, it has really stabilised it, but you can see with that in there just how much, you see that way, the neck band had stretched. Look how much bagginess there is in there now. So that's me holding the crochet thing sort of tight, and there's all this floppy, it's like I've got a frill. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run a similar stitch of single slip stitches across the top. This is at the back, so I'm not too worried, so that it stops that frill. And then I'm going to bring this row here of slip stitches. It's very difficult to show this. There we go. I'm going to run this. I'm actually going to run it round the shoulders bit as well, the neck band that sits on the shoulders, because if you think that you've got a sweater like this and it's heavy, as I've said, I knit larger sizes, and all the weight of that yarn is hanging on the neckline. There's no seams for it to anchor to, so knitting seamless is great, but there's no structure, so there's no seams, so the weight of the sweater hangs on the neckline and pulls it down. So you can see already just how much, I mean, this is really stretched just holding it up like that. So by adding the slip stitch row, crochet row, now she also said, the tutorial I watched, you could actually, if you want to, take it in a bit. I thought I might have to do sort of 2 slip stitches, then skip one, then do another one, but that ended up actually pulling it in way too tight. But you can adjust it. So I would urge you to, if you have this problem with a neckline, or if you have a neckline that's too wide for your liking, use good old crochet hook and slip stitches to stabilise it. I'll see if I can't find the the YouTube video I watched to show me how to do it. I mean, it's fairly intuitive, but it's always good to see it, isn't it? And I'll link it below, and I will let you know how that goes. Yeah, I'll let you know whether that works. Perhaps next podcast I'll wear it. I needed really to do a before and after picture. But other than that, I love it. It's really comfortable to wear. As I say, it's flared out. Maybe I should have done a smaller size. I don't know. It's a little bit, of course, on Andrea Mowry, it looks gorgeous. It's always going to look gorgeous. But it's a bit more fitted. Whereas with this, maybe it is fitted and I'm just that big. I don't know, it's weird. It's a little bit unsatisfactory, but not enough to make me not love the sweater. You know, sometimes you look at a sweater too much when you're knitting it and you get a bit fed up with it and you put it away for a while and then you get it out in like a few weeks and think, oh, I love this sweater. So, I mean, that's what happened with this. When I first finished it, I didn't like it and now I'm not taking it off. So, I probably waffled enough about that. Stripes, Andrea Mowry, how to stabilise the neckband if you've got something that's too wide or too slippy. Right, that is that. So, we'll move on to works in progress now. It's still raining. I made a new cast on. Oh, not long ago. I may have to go back into my craft room and get you a picture of this one. I have actually got my card, but I won't show you a picture, so I will be right back. Right, I'm back. Wisely or not, I have opened one of the doors and we've now got honey in here with me. So that could be a disaster, but let's hope not. We'll have to wait to see if Henry actually works out that the door, the other side of my craft room, the door's open. So I've left the kitchen door closed, but the craft room door is open, so he could come in if he wanted to. Anyway, right, a new cast on. So I've got two new cast ons. Again, all about the sweaters. I cast on the Beekeeper Cardigan by Greene, and I also cast on the Rubalite Cardigan by Amirisu. So we'll start with that one. So that's the magazine, and this is the issue 19, fall winter 2019, so 2 years ago now. And I bought this magazine from Tribe Yarns in Richmond and I fell in love with this cardigan. I absolutely went head over heels, but there was no way I could justify making it, which I'll explain why shortly. So let's have a look. There you go. There. It's absolutely, I just thought it looked so cozy. It's called the Rubalite Cardigan, and it's designed by, well, it just says Amirisu, Tokuko Okiai, possibly. And I just thought it looked so gorgeous. But it is DK weight yarn or worsted weight yarn held double with baby Suri alpaca. And I worked out, at the time I worked out the cost of making it, and it was just prohibitive. It was crazy. And so this kind of went to one side. And I'm not really sure how this happened, but last year I bought a sweater's quantity of yarn from my friend Deborah Raymond, who is the dyer behind Candy Shop Yarns, based in Utah in the States, and also half of the Meanwhile at the Castle podcast with her sister Emily. Deborah took a break from dyeing for a while, but now she's back on Etsy and has updates. Oh, beautiful yarn. She's got such a fun sense of style and colour, very vibrant. And I had a sweater quantity, and I had planned, I had a specific garment in mind, but after a while I went off that garment, as you do. And suddenly, a couple of weeks ago, when I was clearing through my craft room, I thought, oh, why can't I use that? I had the light bulb moment. So the yarn from Deborah is her Raspberry Cordial colourway. How beautiful. It is just, I don't know if that's showing up as vibrantly. It's always difficult to tell on camera. But it is so pretty with speckles of black. It's some magenta and pink and a bit of red. And overall, Raspberry Cordial is a perfect name for it. She says, making sure she has got the name right. I put that here, didn't I? But, I have one of Deborah's. Yes, it is. There you go. So it's her liquid candy base, and that's Raspberry Cordial. And it's 100% superwash merino, bloom DK, 250 yards to 115 grams. So, I'll tell you what about that in a moment. So, I then had obviously got myself as well in my stash a sweater's quantity of drops brushed alpaca silk. Now, I've talked to you about this before. Can you see that colour? It's a really soft pink. This is, what colourway? Is it colour 12? And one of my hairs on it, thank you. And I've worked with this before, and it is, I love it, absolutely love it. It's so affordable if you want a Suri alpaca. I don't like mohair. I much prefer Suri alpaca. So it's Suri alpaca silk. And again, you'll notice that I am using silk a bit these days, which I tend to avoid if I possibly can. 77% alpaca, 23% silk. So, you know, it's not your high end, but I don't see the point in having a speckled yarn and then a speckled hand-dyed Suri alpaca. That seems a bit overkill to me. So I bought this. I spoke to Deborah last year about this, or earlier this year, I can't remember. And I said, do I want a red to go over the top of it, or a cream, or a pink? And she suggested a pink because the red would make it really, really, really bold. So anyway, enough of that. Shall I show you how I've got on with this sweater? I cast this on the 24th of September. So what's that, 7 days ago? Hello, cardigan. Hang on. I actually put this all together last night, so it's the first time. Look at that. How absolutely gorgeous. Excuse me. Is that just, oh, it's so soft. It's so lovely. I wish you could feel it. It's amazing. So it's knit up as chunky. So I'm using, to get gauge, I use 6.5mm needles. I'm on higher bamboo at the moment. In fact, I use higher bamboo all the way through. This is part of my interchangeable set. These are 6.5mm needles. And you hold the Suri alpaca and the DK weight double. It's knit flat. What? I never thought I'd want to knit anything flat ever again once I'd knit in the round. But you know what? After knitting so many cardigans seamless, okay, so they're flat, but this is seamed as well. I knit the back in like, I don't know, 2 days? Okay, it is chunky. So, but whizzed up the back, whizzed up the sides, the fronts. Yesterday afternoon, I did a 3 needle bind off on the shoulders. There. Then picked up last night for the sleeve. And now I'm about halfway down the sleeve. I have so, oh, and, hang on, we've got pockets, sis. I'm a bit concerned because these are very low pockets, so clearly they're not going to be very big when I put the pocket bag in. But There you go. That's kind of, and there's pocket either side. But look at that. It's almost totally by fluke. Look. And I didn't plan that. I honestly didn't plan that. This is such a great knit. Mindless, it's just stockinette, and actually, you know, the back is a rectangle, the fronts are rectangles, and they've each got a little bit of shaping at the shoulders. Yeah, I've loved it. I'm so tempted. I might even end up knitting another one, but we'll see. So I've got the other sleeve to do, finish that one, and then put the button band on, and obviously finish the pockets. But you know, that's a few days. That depends, because I'm working on quite a lot of other things as well. But oh, it's so lovely. Hannah loves this. I'm tempted to see if she'd like me to make her one. It really is, and the colour, I'm so thrilled with the colour. I'm sitting here looking. It's so lovely. So yeah, so that's the Rubalite sweater. Have I got anything else to talk to you about? I made the 47.5 inch bust, which gives me a few inches of positive ease, which is nice. And it's just a joy. It's an absolute joy. I can't wait to be able to wear that and make it even more joyful. I bought a Height and Hammer roll top project bag. I have been guilty, Your Honour, of a lot of piggery of late. Okay, I'm an emotional buyer. When I feel poorly, I spend money. But, so this is look at that colour, it's their berry colourway. I won't go into big details on this, but oh, just loving that. So this project is living in that bag. Well, it's not really, because it's out most of the time because I'm working on it. But I've even got, I had 5 skeins of Deborah's yarn, and I'm halfway through my 3rd skein, so I've got 2 more. So again, it's really, you could really do this affordably, with some really nice yarn, bit of drops brush silk, alpaca. It's great, love it, really love that project. So yeah, that's Rubellite, and it's probably on Ravelry. I haven't checked, should do, shouldn't I? But, whew, right, how are we doing? Oh, my battery says 3 minutes. Not going to get done in 3 minutes, am I? Okay, I will return. And we're back. Oh my goodness. You'll notice I have the addition of more knitwear. You know, when you sit still for a while and then you move and it's really cold, and I just suddenly got really cold. So I grabbed the nearest thing, which was my shift cowl, another Andrea Mowry and Spincycle. This episode is not sponsored by Spincycle yarns, I'll tell you that. It just so happens that these are the 2 things that were to hand. Anyway, yeah, the dogs are back in now, so you can probably hear the pitter-pattering. But I have given my battery a bit of a charge, both my battery and the camera battery. It's still pouring hard with rain, but I've made myself a coffee and we're good to go. Hopefully I will warm up a bit once I start yabbering on. Talking. Right, so I'd spoken to you about my Rubalite sweater. And yes, there is another cardigan on the needles. It's all about the sleeves this week because I am also very, very close to finishing my Beekeeper Cardigan by Greene, who is Olive Knits on Ravelry and Instagram. Yeah. Again, this is not a new pattern. It's something I saw it when it came out actually, but sometimes it just takes a while, doesn't it, for you to suddenly click. And I saw this on, here we go, look at that. It's actually in colour as well, there. I saw it on the Knitters League podcast, an old one I was watching because I'm a rewatcher, what can I say? And I loved it. And of course, originally there was a 4-day knit along with this, and it was knit in 4 days. And I thought, oh, I can do that. Yeah, no. But I haven't had it on the needles that long. I cast on when I got back from the New Forest. So, and I have been obviously knitting on my Rubalite cardigan as well. But at the moment, I'm a real cardigan wearer, and I realised I've not made myself many cardigans. So it's all about the cardies. So the Beekeeper Cardigan is in DK weight yarn. I chose, and I was feeling, I've got fluff on my nose. I'm not sure what's going on there. I was feeling the real autumn vibes. Oh, back at the beginning of September, actually. And so I wanted something, well, very similar to the colour of the sample in the pattern, and I found it in Fyberspates yarn. So, and I don't think, have I got the label? They may have. They do, look at that. So, it's Fyberspates Vivacious DK yarn, which is 100% superwash merino. And then you can see just about there. And it's in the maple syrup colourway, which is, and this is my swatch just to prove to you that I swatch. It's really, really gorgeous. So it's all the autumn feels. It's golden, treacly, mapley, leafy, everything. So let's show you how far I've got on this. Oh yeah, be impressed. So we have a sleeve. This one is seamless, so the entire body is done, as are the button bands, because she has you do the button band and the collar before you do the sleeve. Oh, it's not going to stay closed. But there you go. Look at this little pattern. It's such a fun knit. It's such an enjoyable knit. Really is. So I have literally got to pick up the second sleeve, which I will probably be doing today. Probably once I've finished the first sleeve on the Rubalite cardigan, and start working down here. Now I'm working down the sleeve with mini circs. I've changed over from Magic Loop to mini circs for the sleeves. The only downside is that this is actually all knit pretty much in pearl, because the pattern shows up on the pearl. You can see it really stands out so nicely, but I'm not that quick on mini circulars on a sleeve doing pearl stitches. So the sleeve did take me, well, I say a few days, probably about a week of picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, putting it down. Fortunately, it's such an addictive pattern. I so love the pattern for this that it was doable. Of course it was doable, but just got to stop whining and get on with it. But, and I love the way on here, you see the button band, you have a slip stitch. Is it a slip stitch? No, you have it's a garter stitch, stockinette band at the end of, at the edge of the fronts. And so when you come to pick up for the button band, it's so easy to pick up, and you get this really nice straight ridge across there. Makes it easier to pick up, because let's face it, picking up for a button band isn't the most fun thing in the world. Actually, the reverse side looks really lovely too. I mean, look, you could almost wear it reversed. It's just really, well, to me that's honeycomby. So you've got the the little bees, because the pattern is called the little bee pattern, and then you've got the honeycomb on the inside. This is so lovely. It's quite heavy because it's quite, there's a lot of yarn in there. Again, I've got to be wary of the stretching. Now, she does say in the pattern to make your sleeves about 2 inches shorter than you want them, because of the way the pattern is and the superwash yarn, it will stretch. So I've made them a little bit shorter. It's really hard though, because you don't know how long it's going to go. But I have made them a little bit shorter, probably about 1 inch shorter. And then I'll just be really careful when I block it. So yeah, I've got the snivels now. Excuse me, please, sniffling away. That's not very pleasant, is it? But, so this will be sweater number 4 in under 2 months that I will have off the needles. The Beekeeper Cardigan. Oh, it's so lovely. And the yarn is lovely as well. That colour, those colours. So seasonal, so pretty. So that is my Beekeeper Cardigan. I am all over the sweater knitting. And as a result, I haven't done anything on any socks or anything else. I haven't, to be honest, not that away. I haven't really got that much more on the needles. I've probably got about 3 pairs of socks in various stages on the needles, but that's fine. They're all pattern socks, and if I'm going to do pattern knitting, I'm concentrating on the Beekeeper at the moment. So I'll put those to one side. I am intending to cast on a pair of autumnal themed socks for October, and I have ordered one of the fall themed colourways from good old Lauren at Lolo Did It. I also ordered a ton of yarn, a ton of self-striping yarns, or so it felt like, from Desert Vista Dye Works, but she's on, my goodness, quite a long turnaround. So I don't even know if I'm going to get those before the end of, I don't think I'm going to get them before November, to be honest. But I thought I will knit a pair in Lauren's 4 colourways. I really looked around, there was nothing, and it's really hard to find some that really spoke to me. Perhaps it's because I knew I'd ordered the Desert Vista self-striping. Oh, excuse me, that's because I had a biscuit in between. Anyway, I am hoping to cast on a pair of socks. The Rubalite Cardigan has been fantastic TV knitting. So I've been watching all the Hallmark autumn films. God, love a Hallmark film. And doing that. But once that's done, although I am about to cast on another cardigan. Yep, you guessed it. So let's go on to future knitting. So I'm going to cast on some socks as and when the yarn arrives. I am also going to cast on 2 more sweaters this month, so I'm happy to have 2 on the needles at any one time, particularly because one is slightly patterned and one is plain, so that will be again a good balance. So my first cast on, once I have finished either the Rubalite Cardi or the Beekeeper Cardi, probably either or both of them, I am going to cast on, and just a sec because I'm now getting hot. Again, certain age, but no, it's not. Is it really great when you see the Instagram thing, the meme where it says it's one of those days, or it's the time of year when you start off in a sweater, boots and tights and end up stripping it off by the end of the day because it's so hot. So that's what it's like. Right, so okay, I am going to make the Douglas Cardigan. I'm going to have to reach over here, excuse me, and hopefully not knock over the camera, so I plug that in. So this was the new Andrea Mowry release, not long ago. This was released when I was away in the New Forest. She's so pretty. And as I say, I'm all about cardigans at the moment. Just as well I don't mind knitting pearl, isn't it? Because it's the, you know, you get hot, you get cold, you get hot, you get cold. It's easier to put on and throw off a cardigan than it is a sweater all the time. So I ummed and ahed, and of course Lauren got me again. Lolo did it, got me again, because she put up some beautiful kits, and I was feeling a bit meh. Told you, and I'm an emotional buyer. So actually we were away in the New Forest, and Hannah was feeling a bit meh as well. We are very bad for each other. She's all about handbags. She loves bags, and she found a bag. I'm trying to think, was it a Ted Baker bag? Anyway, there was a bag she fell in love with online. Unfortunately, we could still get Wi-Fi at the cabin. And I was looking at this, and I said, look, just buy the bag. Just treat yourself. Treat yourself. And I'm going to buy the kit. So I did. And it came so quickly. And I have swatched, and I'm good to go. So I'll show you the swatch first. My main colour is this, which is like an oatmeal-y, browny grey. I don't know if that's showing up the right colour. If I show you this, okay, I only do little swatches, don't judge. So that's the swatch. So I did 2 different size needles, because usually I have to go up a needle size to get gauge. What did I do it on? Write it down. So gauge, I had to get, it's 18 stitches on 4.5s, and I had to go up to 5s to get the gauge, which is this one here. But that's fine. So that's the main colour. So that's going to be the button band, the hem, and the cuffs. And then, are you ready for this? I got this. I put this on Instagram. This kit just took my breath away. So we've got this colourway, which is called Prince. I'm guessing that's Purple Rain reference. We have got this colourway, which is called Happiness. So that's got, it's not really, a slight hints of teals and greens. But those two. We've then got this one, which is her beauty school dropout. And then the final contrast is, wait for it, this one. Look at that, it is so pretty. And that's Rivendell. So, look at those. Just, again, looking at them now, takes my breath away. Takes my breath away. No, don't sing. So that's the background, as it were, or the frame, that way. And then all of those. I just think it's absolutely, what a stunning colour combination. I can't wait. And this base is the Divine Yak base, which is 70% superwash merino, 15% silk and 15% yak. And what I love, and I've talked about before, is a lot of Lauren's yarns are 3-ply yarns, and this is a 3-ply. And I mean, it's obviously got yak in it, so it's beautifully soft anyway, but it's so plumptious. I mean, it almost looks like a worsted weight. It's so gorgeous. So, and the colour, I mean, the silk and the yak obviously really give that such a lovely sheen to the yarn. It's amazing. It's absolutely stunning. I cannot tell you. I would go on about that forever. So, I'm in a different position. I feel like my face is too close to the camera. Oh well. Just close your eyes if you don't want to see me. So that's going to be the Douglas Cardigan, Andrea Mowry, and that will be cast on very imminently. So I'm very excited about that. And I have got myself, I'm running out of size 5mm needles for some reason. So I had in my drawer some new Knit Pro Zings circulars. I have got a Chalgu interchangeable needle set. No, I haven't got a Chalgu. Higher. I've got the higher sharps interchangeable and the wooden, the bamboo higher interchangeable, but I seem to got in a bit of a pickle with my needles, and I'm obviously using all 4.5s and 5s at the moment, so I just bought some of those randomly. I quite like the Zings actually, and I'm quite into the idea of fixed circulars at the moment because I'm just getting muddled up with all my interchangeables. So that was that cast on. Oh, okay, I am going to cast on another sweater, which I have left the details in my craft room. I will briefly tell you about it. I'm going to be knitting the campside dropped jumper, the dropped shoulder campside sweater by Alicia Plummer, who is Two Little Plums on Ravelry and Alicia Plums on Instagram. And she is having a campside knit along in October. I thought it was October the 1st, so I swatched and got all ready and all sorted, and then realised that actually it doesn't start till late October. So that was going to be my next sweater cast on along with my cardigan, but I'm using Bear in Sheep's Clothing yarn, and I'm going to be holding it double, and I will talk about that next time. When I actually cast on, I'll explain why I'm using the yarn I am. So I'm going to be casting on that one. I have also decided to cast on a sweater for Gary, which is a bit of a risk. He's not the most ideal person to knit for because he's fussy. Let's put it that way, picky. He will think nothing, if I knit something and give it to him, he'll think nothing of saying, oh no, it's a bit big, or don't really like the colour, or that looks a bit funny. So I don't make for him. It's simple. He's happy with that, I'm happy with that. But I really want to make him something. So I have chosen, again, it's another Alicia Plummer pattern, Justin's flannel sweater, I think it's called. And again, I have swatched for that. I'm going to be using yarn from Stash, which is from Bahram, and it's the Dovestone Aran Weight yarn, which I've had in Stash ever since I did a yarn crawl with Amy, who is Amy from Stranded Dye Works. We did a yarn crawl back in the very early days of Stranded Dye Works, and we went to London and did 3-4 yarn shops. We stayed overnight and went around them all, and I bought the Dovestone from Anna at Wild and Woolly, and I've had it ever since because the sweater I was going to make I changed my mind about, as you do, and it's sat there, but it's the most beautiful yarn and I've refused to de-stash it over the years, so I'm now going to make Gary a sweater for that. So that's 3 sweaters, isn't it, on the go, but I'm definitely going to be finishing the 2 I've got going, plus the Douglas Cardigan, and also looking to get some socks going. I'm also going to start knitting with regard to Christmas gifts, which again, I've got a new book, I haven't shared that with you. Again, that will have to wait till next time. I've no idea how long I've been waffling on for, so probably will have to stop shortly. So many knitting plans. I am so in love with my knitting at the moment, which is so exciting. I have also though been weaving, and again, if you follow my Instagram account, you'll see I've been weaving a blanket for a knitty friend of mine who sucked up to me suitably for me to agree to make her a blanket. To be honest, she's been talking to me about this for the last couple of years. Angie, she's a friend from Socks on the Beach, and she is also a bag maker supreme. Her website is The Urban Stitcher. I think I mentioned her last time, or her bag making business. Anyway, she sent me some yarn to make a blanket for her husband. So I had to think gentlemanly. It was a 2-colour blanket, and we decided that plaid would be quite a nice approach, and I started it before I was poorly, so as soon as I got back from the New Forest, and so it had to have a bit of a break whilst I wasn't really able to cope with the big loom. And then sort of towards the end of this week just past, I got it off the loom, and I will show you. It has yet to have the fringe twisted and to be finished, but so this is, so she sent me a box of the blue and of this lovely hand-dyed variegated sort of aubergine, grey, bluey colours. And I will have to stand up to give you. So again, it's kind of single bed size. I can't see what you're seeing, so I'm hoping you're seeing it. It goes, ugh. Oh, I think you got a flash of my tummy then, I do apologise. So all the way up to there. So it's various freeform plaid, but it's lovely, and it's got, again, as with all of these blankets, they have such a lovely drape. There. If I held that up enough, I'm sure you get the idea. So you'll see that I've taken it, it's fresh off the loom, which means the warp ends are all loose. So I'll be finishing off up here and then hand twisting that fringe, short fringe, because it's for, oh, more water with it next time, as my old granddad used to say. So yeah, that came off the loom, which is great. I just love it when I get them, and I always get really worried when I send a picture to the, I suppose you'd call them a customer. I get really worried, but I've had the thumbs up from Angie, so as long as she wasn't just being polite, we were okay. I've got one more blanket on the books. I'm not really going to be making any more from now on, apart from a few gift ideas I've got for next year, but I've got one more to go, which I don't think I've mentioned, but I know Jules has mentioned it. So many of you will be aware that Jules of So Sweet Violet and Kelly from Lay Family Yarn have been doing the Rainbow Chronicles all year. Kelly has been dyeing rainbow themed yarns every month, and people have been encouraged to knit up socks, or I don't know whether the blankets are included, but people have been making scrappy blankets with the colours, and it's been really super popular. Well, way back at the start of it all, I said to Jules and Kelly that if they would like, they were asking for prizes, and I said if they give me the rainbow yarn, I will weave a blanket as a prize. Be happy to do that. And they were very excited, which was lovely. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. So at some point in the next month or two, they will be sending me a package of rainbow yarn, and I will be making a rainbow blanket on the big loom, and that will be given away when they do their final prize draw early in the new year for people who have entered every month for the Rainbow Chronicles make-along. I believe that's how it's going to work. So that will be really fun to do. Gotta love, as much as that was lovely, but obviously the colours were fairly calm, fairly sophisticated, not like me at all. So I can't wait to get one with all the colours. Talking of blankets, I'm also aiming to finish my cupcake stripe blanket this month, because I am going to finish that and give it to Hannah either for her birthday or for Christmas this year. And I'm only about 6 rows off finishing it. To be honest, I could probably finish it now, and then put the border on. So I am very close with that. I won't go and get that now. That will be something I show you in the future, but I'm very excited about that. My mum has been crocheting the same pattern. I gave her a ton of the Stylecraft DK left over from the blanket I'd woven earlier in the year, and she's been crocheting it, and she's nearly finished hers. And I dread to think how long mine's been in my basket. It's probably taken me over a year, but again, pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down, which is the joy. I do want to start. I've decided I'm going to make a Cozy Memories blanket. Once I finish that one, I've got so many scraps and minis. I've been putting them all together, and I'm going to just slowly start doing it. See how we go, really. I've still got my log cabin blanket, but I'm kind of not in the mood for that at the moment. Got to be in the mood, haven't you? Let's face it. So I think that's probably all I've got to talk to you about right now. I'm sure there are many, many things left to share with you. I was going to talk for a bit about my Bible journaling, but again, I might do a separate little add-on next time for those of you who are interested in that. Oh, reading. I should just let you know, I have finished The Evening and the Morning, the Ken Follett book. I absolutely loved it. I don't think I'd finished it before when I spoke to you last time. Really loved it. And I know some of you have messaged me to say you're reading it and enjoying it too, which is great. I am going to read Pillars of the Earth, but not just yet. I then decided, Hannah and I decided to read Howard's End together. I've not read any E.M. Forster. Hannah has read Passage to India. So while we were on holiday, we decided to read Howard's End. I just couldn't get on with it. I don't know whether it was my mood, the timing. In fact, I was, coming down with the shingles. I tried for about 10 days. I just didn't enjoy it. Didn't like it. Didn't like his style of writing. So I put that down. And I have started to read on the recommendation of lovely Jess, who is Snicklefritz 5 something on Instagram. A lot of you will know Jess and her husband Josh, who are American but are honorary Brits. But she has read the Richard Osman book, The Thursday Murder Club. And it's been out for a little while now. I think the second one has just been published, but she really recommended it. So I thought, I'm just going to find an easy book to read. So I bought it and I'm loving it. It's so pithy and witty. Richard Osman, we watch him on, if you're in this country, we watch House of Games. Very clever, very intelligent man. Kind of puts me in mind of Stephen Fry in some ways. He's very good at the way he uses his humour and his wits. You just know that he's got a lot going on up there, and it's cracking. I'm really enjoying the book at the moment. So again, talk about that a bit more next time. I've said that so many times, haven't I? I really am going to have to go though. I suspect this is over an hour. Is that optimistic? It's probably well over an hour. But it's mostly sweaters, wasn't it? Sweaters and blankets. Brilliant. I am going to hope to be a bit more consistent with you. It'll either be 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, or maybe even every one. It's quite tricky with Gary working from home. It's quite tricky to actually find a time and a place where I can record, because obviously it takes quite a long time to record this because, I waffle. But I will do my best. He's thinking of going back to work in November, so, if that does happen, then I'll have a bit more freedom and run of the house to be able to record. But in the meantime, I do hope you're all keeping well. I wish you a very happy autumn or fall, whichever you call it, whichever part of the world you're in. If you're in the southern hemisphere, I wish you a very happy spring. And I am now going to go away and pick up my knitting whilst I edit this. So take care and remember, keep cheerful.